So a reducing balance loan, the whole idea is that it's simple interest, flat rate. The interest is decided at the start and we pay the same amount back all the time. Okay, it's an equal amount of interest. It's worked out at the start and you just pay installments of that interest along with what you borrow. Compound interest, or reducing balance loans, it's that every month or however often you pay back, the amount of interest is recalculated with a new principal. So just the idea of compound interest, it builds on a new amount. This reducing balance loan is the same. Your interest is reducing because the amount you owe is reducing. So obviously that's fair. You shouldn't pay interest on something that you've already paid back. Alright, so that's what it's about. So at the end of each period, so it's usually every month, like I said, the compound interest is calculated, so the interest is added onto your loan, and then you subtract your loan repayment. Alright, so if you think about it, every month, it goes up a bit, and then it goes back down a fair amount, because the interest gets added on, and then you pay off. Interest gets added on, and you pay off. Okay, that's the way it works. And so then the new principal for the next month is that reduced amount. You've got your amount, interest, repayment goes down, and then you have your new principal. The amount that you reduce, you then calculate for the next month. That principal is used to add on interest, but the repayment is calculated that will match exactly, so that the same repayment comes off and it goes down. Okay? So it keeps reducing and the interest slowly gets smaller. So that's why it's good that if you pay more of the loan in the early years, but that's usually, unfortunately, ridiculous. That's when you're younger, you generally get paid. But if you have whatever loan you have, if you pay more off early, assuming it's not a fixed term, then you can reduce the interest quicker as you go down. So the best way again is to have a look at the samples. Have a look at that. Okay, so the idea is because visualize that interest gets added on, you pay becomes a new amount. New amount is used to calculate the interest again, goes up, repayment comes off, new amount is used again, interest, etc. Over, it could be a 30-year home loan, so that happens with 360 periods or 360 individual repayments, or it could be just a 2-year loan or 1-year personal loan, whatever it might be. Alright, so this is our example. So if you have a look at this, Aaron borrows $2,000 at 12% for 2 years. Okay? And all these are compound interest, compounded monthly or with the monthly repayments. Okay? What is the monthly interest rate? How many periods are there for this loan? A monthly, it should be, a monthly repayment. $94.15. What does she owe the bank after the first and second months? Alright, so we're going to go through this. So if I can just take us to the top. We'll do this. Okay, first part. What is the monthly interest rate? 12% per annum is how many percent per month? 1. Okay? So 12%, the annual interest rate, you divide it by the number of months, which is 12, and so it's 1% per month. Okay? Next part. How many periods are there for this one? Alright, well we've got 2 years, we pay back each month, so how many time periods do we have? 21. Okay? 2 years times 12 equals 24 months. Yeah? That's a good question. So, it's a good question. It says, well, it's over 2 years, why do you divide it by 12? So the reason is because this is, I didn't write it, but this is per annum. Okay, so although there's 2 years on the loan, the interest rate is given to you as a yearly interest rate. Okay, so we want to just divide it by 12 months. If it was 12 years over 2 years, then you say, okay, let's divide it by 2 years. Okay, so that's our second part. We know it's 24 months. Now, the next one is where, you guys can listen, and a little bit more sort of work has to go into it. So her monthly repayments are $94.15. What does she owe the bank after the first and second month? So the first thing to do is, okay, well, first month. Okay, now remember this happens at the end of the month. So we have to think of it like this. At the end of the month, interest gets added on, and then the repayment comes on. Alright, so what we owe at the end of the month, first and before interest, we've got the $2,000. So we have to work it out and say, well, what is the new amount? So we can say, well, remember the compound interest formula. Okay, so A equals, we've got 2,000. But we only add on 1 month worth of interest. We're not adding the whole year's on, we're not doing it yearly, we're doing it monthly. So we're just adding on for one period for 1%. So we do 1 plus 1%, which is 0.01. And you don't have to write it, but it's to the power of 1, because we're only doing it for the first month. Okay, so that is going to be $2,020. So that's how much you have after interest. But then you have to subtract off the repayment as well. Okay, so we have to subtract off the repayment. So we say, alright, we've got 2020 minus the repayment, which is 94.15. So we have 94.15, which equals $1,923.85. Okay, so that's how much it was after the first month. Now the second month, we do the same thing, but slightly different. The second month, we can take this as the new principal. So we say A equals 1925.85 times 1 plus 0.01 to the power of 1, because we're only interested in another month. Each month it changes. So someone find this out for me, please. 1925.85 times 1.01. $1,945. Okay. That's what's owed, and then we have to subtract off the repayment. 1945 minus 94.15. That is equal to $1,850.95. Okay, so that's how much you owe after the third month. So again, and then the next month you take this amount and work it out again. Now, obviously doing this manually gets very unwieldy very quickly. Okay, you can sort of get out of control. But I just wanted to show you something. You can make an Excel spreadsheet of this. So you see here, what's the formula? I don't know how much you know about Excel. So the formula here is B1, which is this one, $2,000 times the interest rate divided by 12, so you get the monthly interest rate, and then making it a decimal divided by 100, plus 1. So we're doing the compound interest formula there, what we've done, and then you take away the monthly repayment. Right, so you can see that what happens is it slowly goes down first, and then as the longer you pay it off, the quicker it reduces. Then there's more, you're getting less and less interest. And so after 24 months, basically go to minus 8 cents. It's not exactly, but it does. Alright, so that's the way that it works. You've got this table, and each month you're reducing. Okay, so obviously spreadsheets and these sort of programs are very helpful in doing the work that you need to do. Okay? Now I'm going to do another example. Sorry, Ben borrows $5,000 at 10% per annum for 5 years. The monthly repayments are $85. Show the amount borrowing for each of the first 3 months. You've got to repeat the process here. So there's a way of doing it. So basically it goes like this. It is, so alright, we go 5,000 times, sorry, we need to, apologies, let's do the first things first. We've got to find monthly interest rate. Monthly interest rate is 10 divided by 12, which is what? Okay, 0.83%. Alright. And so we then can use the formula and do it a few times. So we do 5,000. And so this is in one step. I'll put this in brackets. 5,000 times 1 plus 0.0083. Alright. And then you get that and you minus $85, which is the repayment. That's the first year. The second year, we would get this new amount, and then you put some sort of amount here that we have to fill in, times 1 plus 0.0083 minus $85. And the third one, again, you repeat it and say 1 plus 0.0083 minus 85. Now, can you please find the 3, 4 missing, 3 missing values? Right. So what do we need to work out? Everyone, if everyone can do this, please. Work out what the missing values are. You can also fill it in as a table, and the book will have a couple of questions, I think, which fills in as a table, which basically say, what's the value first? What's the principal that you're using? What's the value plus interest? What's the value minus repayment? Yes, please. Because 85 is the repayment. So just doing it in one go, $85 is the monthly repayment. So every month you have to take that off. You add on the interest, take off the repayment, new amount you use. Take it to the next month, add on interest, take off $85, new amount. Okay? Right, what do we got? First one. 4956.50. Right, so then that amount goes in here. And then we get, what do we get for this next one? 4956.50. 4912.63, thank you. Okay, and then what about the next one? So then this one goes in here, 4912.63. $4,868. Alright, so of each of these repayments, the interest is reducing slightly. And every time the interest is actually reducing by slightly greater than that. Okay, so it's reducing over time. So you're paying more interest to start with, less interest. Okay? So that's the way that you do it. Take it step by step and do it. Now if I could ask you to turn to page, the second exercise of this set. Alright, so if you have a look on page, sorry, I'm trying to find it. Page 256 You can either look on page 256 of your book. You see that there's a table there that they use. Okay? So the idea is that you, instead of working it out, it's showing you the monthly repayments of a loan of a certain rate. So it gives you a certain amount of all the repayments for certain periods of time for a certain interest rate of different amounts. Okay? So this table on 256 is saying that the first row says $1,000. If you repay it in 1 year, your repayments are going to be $87.68. If you have $1,500 and you pay it back in 1 year, it's going to be $131.53 repayments. Then to work out the interest, you have to multiply it by the number of installments. So if it's 12 months, you multiply that number of installments by 12, and then take away your principal, and you're left with the amount of interest. Just like the other ones, it's just that it gives you the repayments, you can multiply it, and then subtract it, and be very simple. Okay? So if you have any troubles with that, I just ask, and we're going to get onto that, but we'll have a break.